If it matters to you, it matters to us. Call Tip today on 1-800-938-007.
Welcome back to Tip Today, live from Nenagh today, and delighted to have our GP, Dr. Pat Harrold, with us in studio. Good morning to you, Pat.
Good morning, Fran.
Good to see you today. Are you run off your feet with flu jabs and flu and COVID jabs and all of that?
It's doubling the numbers. They reckon they'll need about 2 hospitals for the affected flu. The numbers are shooting up. 9 people have died by the 1st of December of the flu this year. So it's a doozy. Some years it's like you get a big acorn drop and you get a big flu. So it's going to be...
is it a particular strain that makes it very potent or powerful?
There's different types. When I look at the flu jab, I see the different strains of it. And I think it's a quadrivalent. There's 4 different types we're protected against. Maybe 3, I don't know. But, we're protected against them. And it is good to a certain extent. Now, there's not enough. They're looking for 75% coverage, and they're 50-something. And
in terms of vaccination, you mean?
In terms of vaccination. Yeah. And can I just say, the best thing about the flu is don't get it if you can. And number 1, the best possible defence is the flu jab. And it works fairly well. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, there's nothing in it that can give you the flu.
Right, and you're sure of that as far as you're...
And there's a nice one you can squirt up your nose for babies, or for children. But
every time we talk about vaccination, somebody will tell me, we went and got the flu jab, and sure, the next day we were...
Yeah, you probably got something else, or you might have got the flu. And look, I remember I got the flu vaccine for something, and I was brewing, but...
even before the vaccine?
Well, I didn't know I was brewing. You see, the thing about the flu is the flu hits you really fast. Right. You're minding your own business at breakfast time, and by tea time you're stretched in the bed. That's a great sign that you've got the flu. And you'll be infectious for 3 to 5 days. So Dr. Scott Walken, my good friend in the Irish College of General Practice, said, don't go to work, don't go out, don't socialise, don't go to the pub and be coughing over everybody. That's number 1. Just don't go in.
Basic stuff.
Yeah. Number 2, if you're sneezing and coughing, don't sneeze all over. And number 3, wash your hands and be careful. Because imagine if you went in an escalator now and all the hands and that.
Sure, yeah.
And if you go to a funeral, use the hand sanitizers. When you've put down the biro and you've signed your name, and use the hand sanitizers, because I always get people getting sick after funerals, as you can imagine.
Of course, indeed. What am I hearing about this super vaccine or super boost that's there for over 65 or something, but now the government aren't paying for it or something? What is the story around that?
They weren't going to pay for it, was the idea. Some countries got an improved one. There was a bit of a turbocharge in it, and it meant that your immune system was more likely to respond to it better. So it's in a lot of countries. I think Australia, and a lot of them got it, but it was quietly shelved by the minister.
Because of cost?
Because of cost. So they didn't get it. There's a letter in the Irish Times about it today, and somebody saying, well, I got the influenza, and if they'd coughed up for... There's a little pun there. If they coughed up, I mightn't have got it, which is fair enough point. But I suppose that's budgets for you.
Right, but how do you feel about that? Do you think it should have been made available to people?
Well...
Because it's false economy, really, if people are going to end up in hospitals, isn't it?
Honest to God, yeah. And as they say, I think... Last time I looked, there was... You can see the statistics are all about 2 weeks behind. There was something like 400 people in hospital, and every one of those is costing God knows how much a day. Because you might wonder, how do you end up in hospital with the flu? But if you're pregnant, or if you're a poor immune system, if you're... there's a variety of conditions that you will need to be hospitalised. The big thing about it is shortness of breath and not being able to breathe. And they're the ones who need oxygen. And they're the ones who need hospitalisation. So get the flu jab. Not everybody would agree with me, but it's and even at this stage, it's well worth your while getting it.
Right. And what's the story there with your GP? Do you have to book in for
GPs and pharmacists? Some book, some don't. Some walk in. Some most people. It doesn't take too long. The long bit is waiting for a few minutes to see if everybody waits a few minutes to make sure. But like chemists do it too. And 80% coverage in the nursing homes is not really good enough. It should be a bit higher.
Right. Okay. Will you talk to us about something else that is a bone of contention for some people, which is supplements and vitamins? I know that we were speaking about it on the programme yesterday, and one very irate gentleman got onto us and said, will you stop talking about that nonsense of supplements and vitamins? We should all get what we need from a proper diet. Discuss, as they say in the Leave You Sir Pat. How do you feel about that?
To a certain extent, he has a good point. We should, but we don't. And I did a bag pack one time, I'll never forget, to see what people were eating. First of all, we don't really get what we need from our diet. We should get 80% of it non-processed foods or lightly processed foods. Now, if you've got chickens running around the garden and you've got a tunnel and you've got fresh green winter vegetables and you can pick a grape off the vine still in your glass house and you can eat apples from the tree.
Very idyllic.
Oh, isn't it marvellous? And I see you've got, it's fantastic, but most of us don't.
Sure.
Our blueberries come from Peru or somewhere. They're frozen. They're God knows, and blueberries are a good source. It's very hard to get fresh stuff and lightly processed food. Like breakfast cereals are pointing. If you look at the breakfast cereal, you see list of ingredients. Like, it'll go down half the page. Literally your list of ingredients should be one thing, porridge oats or something. So some people do need it, and the ones that are big one in Ireland is vitamin D, because we just don't get enough from sunshine. So everybody, especially kids, should get vitamin D supplements in the winter. Folic acid. If I ever test for folic acid, that's the one in green leafy vegetables. Nearly everybody's low. If you've any prospect whatsoever of becoming pregnant, you should be on folic acid, because the important time to take it is before you get pregnant, and it takes a while to build up in your system. The iron, for some people, like vegans, should be in a B12 supplement, but most vegans are fairly smart, they know that. But some people, though, but you shouldn't. Everybody shouldn't take low iron. Or take iron, because some people are too high in Ireland, hemochromatosis. So taking blanket vitamins, things like vitamin A can store up, and they're actually bad for you.
Yes.
But most kids should be on some kind of vitamin supplement, especially in winter. And it's no point giving them one they don't like. If you're chasing them around the house with the spoon and the bottle, something that's sort of tasty and appeasable. And older people need protein, and you need 1 gram a day for over 60s, so that's a fair bit. Fresh eggs from the farm, just the ones you get, not some hellhole of a Bathory farm at the other end of the world, are a great source of protein. And not so much processed meats or anything. You get loads in yogurt and cheese and dairy and, that sort of thing. That's basically... Yeah. So it's a qualified answer, and then you could be on tablets. And if you're on metformin, for instance, for diabetes, you could be low in vitamin B, B12, and then you might start...
Oh, does that affect
it does, yeah.
vitamin B?
It does, and
that's interesting.
Because you're
diabetes drug.
Because you've got diabetes, you might be on an aspirin, because you might have cardiovascular. So you're probably on something to protect your tummy, the PPI. Don't stop taking it, but that interferes with your magnesium and your B12 again. So what you want to do is tailor it to the person. You wouldn't go lashing, if you go lashing 10, 20 around the garden all day, you won't get any great results. But if you target it, if some plants need this, some plants need that, and we're no different to it. But the big message is you should be able to get most of your stuff from your diet, but most of us don't, because we eat rubbish and garbage and processed foods.
And because you were talking about the flu and colds and all of that kind of thing, this notion that if you dose yourself, if you feel something coming on, you dose yourself with vitamin C, that you can put a halt to this in some way. Is there any truth to that whatsoever?
Yeah, that one's going on a long time.
Is it just?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do.
Somebody else told me that you end up peeing out most of the vitamin C that you take in.
You do, yeah.
As a supplement.
There used to be a lot of huffing and puffing and saying all vitamins do is give you expensive urine. But at the same time, most of us are very deprived. And if you're eating sugary and salt foods, you don't absorb things properly.
Right.
Because the gut mucosa, your microbiome, you see, we know a lot more than we used to. The microbiome is living in your gut. You want it healthy, like a garden. It's got to be functioning. And if you keep pouring salt and sugar combinations onto it, you're damaging the gut mucosa, and you're not absorbing things like you should. You see, you can be absolutely huge, and you can be still suffering from malnutrition, because there's not a lot of vitamins in a pound of lard. So it's a complex kind of a thing, and something people would... I know, and my family tell me I'm not well informed in all this stuff at all. But, you need to get informed about it.
Yeah.
And,
well, they're probably saying that to you because, all you have to do is go onto any of the social media platforms and you get advice after pieces of advice after advice. And, if you were to follow it all, you'd be taking... stuff every 5 minutes.
Especially if they're trying to sell you something.
Yeah, I know.
You really
but they're all
this.
trying to sell you something.
And, but I think if you eat locally, in season, fresh stuff, go to a farmer's market. If your Brussels sprouts are picked that morning, that is just what you need. And always bear that in mind.
Yeah, because you mentioned blueberry, one of our listeners is wondering, is that the superfood it's supposed to be? We hear that about blueberries all the time, don't we?
Blueberries are full of good things.
Yeah.
And my little granddaughter Ayla loves them, and but you need to squish them for babies, I'm told.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, and she's a year, I suppose. Yeah. But blueberries are great. They're just sort of thing we should be eating, But if you had blackberries in your garden, they're gone off now. But that would be even better.
Yeah, but we have to look at the source of all these things, and are they frozen or are they kept in sort of...
Yeah, frozen
plastic?
Isn't too bad.
You
can freeze vegetables and it's not too bad. Tinned tomatoes aren't too bad. Lightly processed porridge oats are they're okay. They're lightly processed, but it's the 80-20 rule. If you're 80%, if you go down to the food hall in Nenagh, the most wonderful bread, and I can't eat it because I'm celiac, and which is another group that should be taking vitamins, and I'm very bad at it. But the most beautiful fresh sourdough and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's really good for you, and that's.
And very few ingredients, obviously.
Yeah, and then you can get the chocolate bar or whatever, but you don't want to be a complete killjoy. But the 80-20 is a good one to consider for that.
It is indeed, yeah. What vitamins do you have to take if you're celiac, by the way?
What do we not do? B12, I think.
B12?
Being the main thing. But I always try to take vitamin D in the winter, especially.
Right. That's because of lack of sunlight, is it?
Lack of sunlight, especially if you have dark skin or you're indoors most of the time, like most of us are.
And what does that do for you? If you take these... You see, I've taken them all over the years, but I never feel any different after them, to be honest with you. And look at the stage. The picture of health here. But
For once, Fran, I'm speechless. I don't know what to say to that.
No, but I've tried all these things that people tell me, you feel much better if you do that. And I never feel that.
A lot of these things you don't appreciate. Like, you don't know what the state your arteries are in, it's like lifting the bonnet. Lift the bonnet of the car. The car can look great, and you look at the engine and it's shocking, So, I don't know. Yeah. Like, most of us aren't in a state of malnutrition where we like scurvy or something. You need vitamins. If you were, God knows, in a concentration camp or something, and you need your vitamins to perk up, but like most of us are sort of ailing along badly.
Yeah, just about, yeah. But that notion of and just finally, a multivitamin, where as if you can have everything in the one pill, I'm very suspicious of that.
You won't get your... I remember in science fiction years ago, I used to love those things, but like, you take your pill and everything is in it, but you need your fibre.
Right.
You need loads and loads of fibre, and most of us don't get anything like the amount of fibre. The gut needs something to be chewing on, and you need sort of things like that. You need proper,
So proper stuff is
proper stuff from the garden. That's it.
A pleasure as always, Pat. Thanks very much indeed. Our GP, Dr. Pat Harrold. All right, news and information's on the way. We are live from Nenagh.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puck On. See slatterysgarage.ie.